Okay, so in this video we are going to look at a validation rule here. So we do have this associated ID object. So if we create a record after pressing the new, we have associated ID number. So let's just put some ID here. So we have the type we have selected as individual ID, and 877 is our secondary ID. So we have saved the record here. Okay, so after this we go to this setup and the object manager. So the object is associated ID. Let's click on that. And here if we just scroll down, click on the validation rules, new. So let's just configure the rule here. Okay, so let's specify the condition in the AND. Insert field. So here we want the type as to be of individual ID as it is of pick list type. So we are going to put the text here and enclose the type in brackets. So let's specify the type as individual ID. So all we want is when the type is individual ID, we want the primary ID and secondary ID to be same. So if we just see here the associated ID number, so the field name is name for that. Let me just copy that. And for the secondary ID, let's see the API name. Okay, let me copy the API name, and that's equal to secondary ID. So where I'm saying here, when the type is individual ID, associated ID number, which has the API field name as name, should be equal to the secondary ID API name. So it should return true in that case, and otherwise it should return false. So that's the if statement structure. So this condition is going to evaluate to true. But now we want the negation of this statement. So it should only fire when the name is not equal to the secondary ID. So I'm going to add the not condition on top of our specified condition here. So that's it. Our validation rule is ready. Let me put the error message as well. So when it fires the error, the user who is trying to actually save the record, he or she gets the clear message that what kind of error it is and why it's actually firing. So let's just put that when it is of type individual, then the associated ID and secondary ID needs to be same. Okay, if we try to save the record, okay, so it has shown some error in the rule name itself. It had underscores. So let's just remove the underscores and give it a simple rule name, and let's try to save it again. Okay, so our rule is actually saved. Now if we go back to the screen of the record under the associated ID, so let's put some value under the associated ID number, and let's put a different number under the secondary ID, and let's choose the type as individual. So okay, so we get a snag that it should be actually same. Okay, so let me change it to 987. That's same as that of associated ID, and that's how we were able to save our record. Thank you.